Well, it took a little longer than I thought, but the Great Pilgrimage is complete. I am heading on in to do what we do. I'm super excited to be here, and yeah, I think everybody should check this place out. It's pretty awesome. This is the first picture of the building I took as we approached, and of course this little man on his scooter was parked there in the shop. That was okay. Right away I was struck with, man, they have a great display in the window, and I just can't wait to get inside and see what they've put up. It was pretty obvious that the first thing you were seeing is basically a snapshot of everything that they have to offer in the store, laid out in your different sections. And what struck me about all of these pieces right away was that they are built out of the box, obviously, everything is, but they're painted brand new. There's no wear and tear on anything. And I don't know, there was nothing wrong with the quality of anything you're seeing here, but surprisingly, things got a lot better as I moved into the store. And I intentionally put the store to my back so that I could take this in and then kind of really focus on what was going on here and checking everything out, trying to get a feel and calm down because I was so excited, obviously. And then turn around and look at what is this space. It's not a very large store, but man, there's so much in there. It's really well laid out. So I did take pictures of these F-14s, and right here, this airplane right here, this Tornado, out of the box looks great, just painted nice and clean. I really liked that. So anyway, then I turned around and snapped this photo. There are people in the store, I just got lucky, but this is the general layout that you're working with, and I just started down taking pictures of everything in these aisles, and in the breakdowns you can see what they have. This is where I started to notice things I'd never seen before, such as the large-scale cars, and then obviously photographs, I believe, of the individuals responsible for the design. Obviously, everything's in Japanese, very little's in English, so I had a hard time noticing what was going on. This was the first display of tanks that I saw in a different theme. From here on out, everything's basically in a diorama set, and it's got some weathering going on with it. The exception being the ships. Those are all still cleanly modeled as if they're brand new. You can start to see here right underneath there's some resources, and I picked up these books and thumbed through them, and I would have purchased them had any of it been in English. Everything's in Japanese, but right away I was like, okay, the ships are in the same spot as the resources, and the kit models you can see are right underneath there. They did a bunch of a lot of F-35 display here. I think this is their new release of this kit in 1/48 scale, and they're obviously super proud of it. Everything you see here is available in the store. You just kind of got to hunt around for some of it, and of course the store associates will help you out. There were a lot of pictures like this one. I don't know if this is Mr. Tamiya himself. Obviously everything's in Japanese, but there's a bunch of these shots around the store too, which I think is really great. Again, you can see all the ships stacked up, boxes of everything. What struck me though is none of these boxes are plastic wrapped sealed. You can just open any one of them up and look at all the parts, sealed parts on the inside. This stuff here, the 1/12 scale, and that Russian heavy tank KV-1, I was hoping to find that. I never saw a built copy of that. Everything's kind of grouped together in scale and by subject, which is nice. So here we're starting to get into some of the dioramas. This one is in the other street window, and I was like, this is really impressive. I mean, armor guys always tend to do a fantastic job with their dioramas. Right above it, more ships. But this is just another example throughout the whole rest of the store of just some really great examples of armor. The ships look great. There aren't as many. They're not really known for their ships. This cutaway was interesting though, especially in 1/350th scale. I was confused. I'm like, is this inside the model? Is that what I get to see? That's cool. Here, just like everywhere else, the extra stuff is they're on these little rings. You try and get a rifle through them to find what it is that you're looking for. So we get into the airplane display, and the one up closest right there is the only one with any weathering on it that I was able to see. They kept all the aircraft also clean in the display and the paint job, and that was really nice. I mean, most of the planes that I've always built over the years, I do some sort of chipping and wear and tear here and there, but this was, I don't know, it was really refreshing just to see a nice, clean build of the model, especially the BF-109s. I'm a huge fan of them. At one point in time, I'd built so many in a row that I wasn't even using the instructions anymore. And I might go down that rabbit hole again someday because there's so many paint schemes that you can uh, take care of. The P38 is right there, the latest offering from them. Everyone was really hyped, I think, about a year and a half ago when this thing came out. And man, does it look great. This version with Marge on it, they just, whoever did this was an expert. They built it right out of the box, painted it all nice and clean, and as you can see up close here to the details, I mean, they just did a really great job, and it encourages me. I'm like, man, maybe I should buy that P38. I haven't assembled one of these in a really long time. I think I did the old Rebel kit when I was a kid, but yeah, I mean, just take a look at that. The decals look great. The paint job looks great. The figure looks fantastic inside the cockpit. I don't know if the radios were really that color in the back, but I kind of don't care. It looks really nice. So directly behind me, across from this, were their 1/32 scale kits. I snapped this picture just because I wasn't actually familiar with all of the offerings in that scale. I wish they had some German aircraft though, and Japanese aircraft as well. When I moved on down the line, they kind of went into 1/72 scale aircraft, and I think that might be what we're looking at right here because the previous ones were 1/48 scale. Again, details just phenomenal. Tamiya makes fantastic stuff. Looks like I got this picture back in here twice. Sorry about that, but it's still cool to see. Here we go. This is all 1/72 scale aircraft for sure. I remember this now. And I even like how some of them aren't painted. They just put it together and slapped that middle one. They slapped the decals on. Just really neat stuff. Good to see like this. Now we're getting more into the armor. They have a lot of armor. I think that's just kind of their preferred products. Again, check out the dioramas. All the resources were available here in the store. Couldn't read anything. And Tamiya also, if you recall, oh man, it's probably about 15 years ago, they started doing 1/48 scale armor. The standard's 1/35 scale, but the 1/48 keeps it in scale with your common airplanes and also allows you to fit more of this stuff, in your house. It's not that much smaller than the 1/35 scale stuff, and it just, I think it's neat. You have something to, you could fit more of these models in your home. This shot, I really like to see. I didn't realize that little gun down there. Most of it looks like it's photo etched. Sunflowers look fantastic. I mean, right away I was very inspired because I've only built a couple of tanks in my life, and I just thought, hey, I can whip up a small base real easily that takes up not much more footprint than the armor piece itself and just give it a little bit more life. Again, you can see the streaking on the side right here of this it's an American tank. I forget what it is from World War II. But yeah, even these, right? So on just a nice artistic piece of wood, and just painted in poised in an angle, everything's not static, just adds a lot of life to what you're looking on. That's something you could just set on a coffee table or in a corner of your house. This was the one PT boat I saw. I took a picture of it. It stood out, being completely different from everything else that I saw inside of the store. The box for this piece is pretty big. You know what? PT boat might be the wrong word there, but it does say Waters of Our Heroes in the title down there, so that's pretty neat. So let's see, U.S. Army medium tanks behind there. This was just a cool example of all their figures that you can get, and I'm not sure what scale these are all in, if they're in 1/48 or 1/350th. But I was happy to see them all set up just like you see here, so you could kind of get an idea of what the options are. Here's more what I was talking about before. This is the 148 scale stuff, and look at the little displays. I mean, it takes very little effort to add that base to your model, and you just have this really neat lifelike piece. And so this is the standard from here on out throughout the rest of the shop. So underneath those displays are the boxes of the kits, like I said before, and there's lots and lots of boxes. You can kind of see to the right on the end there, the end caps is where all the little extra detail parts are at. You just have to go ahead and rifle through them to see what it is that you want. So I'm going to walk past this a little bit and then turn around and snap a picture in the other direction a little bit further down the aisle here. I was trying to keep people out of the shot. So you can see the much larger scale tanks up above, which those are remote controlled, and some of that RC stuff's downstairs. They have a huge car RC section downstairs, and then you've got your 148 scale stuff here. They even have some dinosaurs. I don't know if I included in this, but I found a funny little like food section as well. Operation Cobra. I mean, just there's so much going on here. They're doing maintenance on the tanks. Those guys are talking to each other. I don't know if they're, for some reason I felt like they were like near a railroad track or something with this diorama, but they put it together. And then the tank to the right, you'll see when I pivot here, it's the same, it's a separate deal. Well, no, I guess it's still Operation Cobra, but see how they separated the display bases and but then put them next to each other anyway. So it's like it was a continuous display, but separate. So you could pull them apart. I mean, that's great for displaying them around your house, transporting them for shows and clubs, and just I don't know. You know, you would think I'll just make one. This allows you to make two very easily. More kits. The kits are all just stacked up like this. It was very, and they're not just one deep. If you pull those boxes out behind it, there were oftentimes another row of boxes. It was like if you buy clothes at the store with the t-shirt rack, right? There's just tons and tons and tons, which was super satisfying to see. So a lot more smaller stuff on display up on top here, and we're going to start to move over into kind of the automotive area, but this is where you have your extra kits, like your ancillary stuff that you would go with for help making your dioramas and things, and those are all kind of displayed up on top. So you're able to see like the little pigs and things like that, and your chairs and bottles and just all this little extra stuff that one would need to more easily create a diorama that's lifelike and believable. It was cool that this was just all laid out like this and easy for you to break down. Of course, all in Japanese, but hey, you can point and say, I want that, and they'll help you get it. This was a big diorama. Someone put a lot of thought and time into this, but they've got that overhead crane on the left there. They pulled the top turret off of the Type 1, and they've removed the gun, or they're going to put a new gun in. I don't know what the story is. But again, you know, you could just use your imagination. On the right, if you see there's a little fountain there with water coming out of it. Just all the neat stuff armor folks do. Really cool. Here's an up-close look at those gentlemen making their inspections, figuring things out. The Zimrit on the side of that tank looks fantastic. Nicely done. It was just a lot to take in. I spent a lot of time just sitting there and looking and saying, wow, you know, it just felt great to be there. So here's some of the other detail stuff. They had a lot of photo etch for the armor, and some of it's organized like this. Those look like, I think those are DVDs for assembling this stuff. I looked at that, what you see in front of you there, twice, and I wasn't totally sure what I was looking at, other than it's add-on detail sets for those kits, which I think is great whenever a manufacturer offers that. All right, Tamiya also has a great collection of motorcycles, and they have a lot to choose from, and so we start taking pictures of that. These are all done very clean. They look new. What I noticed when I went around the store, I'm not sure if I'll have shots of it, is they have a lot of detail up sets, I like to call them, metal parts, photo etch, and hoses for each one of these kits specifically that you can buy separate to take the detail to a higher level. An awesome car collection. Some of these cars I have seen before. I own a couple of the kits. I'm planning on putting them together. But cars are a big thing. Mr. Tamiya started his business out before World War II, I believe, with a transportation company. Or that was after the war. I can't remember. One of the two happened there. So this, I can't remember if it's the name of that car, but we showed it earlier in like 1/6 scale, and this is the 1/25 scale. So they've built it several times in whatever scale that you think is appropriate or have space for. And obviously the bulk of the cars are this size inside of the store. A lot of Japanese made cars that you would see driving around. A lot of cool stuff. And, you know, the boxes. I'm looking. I wanted to bring home those Porsches. I didn't buy any model kits when I was there because I didn't know if I was actually going to be able to come to the store. I also have a pretty decent sized kit collection, so I stocked up on a bunch of tools at great discount that I have a hard time getting a hold of in the States. I do have this kit though, and this Mercedes was a big deal when it came out, and they're, you know, that is the whole thing. It had that frame, the chassis, the tube chassis that was like crazy shaped like that to hold the whole car together to keep the weight down, and then the inside and obviously the outer body. This kit was a big deal when it came out. Directly behind it was their small collection of paints that they offer. What I liked is top center there, they have nice little jars of their paints. I thought that was cool. I mean, if I lived anywhere near this store, even if I had to ride a train a long ways to get it, I would come here and probably just stock up on all of this stuff. And I'd be like, I want that paint rack at home at my house. I want it to look like that. To the right of it, they've got paintbrushes. I bought a few paintbrushes. I'm pretty good on that stuff here in the States. And then they have their weathering kits and supplies and things like that down below. Immediately to the right of that, I don't think I got a picture of it coming up. It's the two more down. They have their major supply wall of tools and things, and that's what I hit pretty good to come back. This I'd never seen before. This is all photo etch wire frames of models. I almost bought one of these because you could see them right down below there. They're flat little PE sets. I almost bought one to bring home, and I thought it's neat, but I'm not probably going to get around to doing something like this anytime soon. All right, here's a lot of the supplies. I tore through this and grabbed everything that I thought I'd be allowed to legally take home on the airplane, and actually grabbed something I was not allowed to bring home on the airplane, and the store guy actually stopped me and pointed it out so that I didn't buy something I couldn't bring home, which I really appreciated. It was just some putty and an accelerator. But yeah, this was really neat to be able to see all this stuff. This is the far outside wall that we kind of hit earlier. On the left there and center, they have a lot of motors. I didn't realize how many motors Tamiya produces. I guess it makes sense because of the remote control cars and stuff, but they had all of that available as well. And then there was this really cool door in the corner, and I took a picture of it. It led down a hallway that didn't look like it was anything other than more offices. And if I had actual time, because again, this whole trip was a surprise, you're going to work here, and I was like, am I going to be able to go to this store? And I found time, but not much time. In the future, I'll probably try to see if I can go explore down there. Here we're getting more into the cars. This is still, I may have gone, yeah, I went downstairs. So when you go downstairs, the whole floor's the same thing. It's all cars. And I think those are just plastic model kits. They might be RC cars. They had so many spare parts. Like, people were in there. Again, I tried to not photograph anyone, but they were like in their little section looking for their their part in this section, and then trying to rifle through those parts to find specifically what it was they were looking for. This place was loaded with RC parts and RC cars and kits. Those are clear bodies there on the left, and then you have the whole cars there on the right. They had a whole department of people down here that looked like they specialized in all of this stuff. And this was, even though you don't see any folks, this was the happening area of the shop. There wasn't nearly as many people upstairs, which was kind of surprising. Let's see. Those are just more parts, more spare parts. And I'm including all these nice long photos because I don't know what everybody's interested in. You might find that this is a little boring, but if you're an RC person, I wouldn't be surprised if you see something here you didn't know about. And then you could go on Tamiya's website or a dealer and see if you can't get it. This is the back behind the other aisle by them. Looks like we got a lot of rims to tires there. A lot of rubber parts and hoses and things that I was not quite clear on what they were, but just stuffed, just full of the brim of cool things. So then I head upstairs one last time. Oh no, this is downstairs too, sorry. Last thing here, big scale tanks. I believe these are all RC. And I was like, oh, I kind of want one. I absolutely don't need one, but it would be neat, especially that KV3. Is that KV3? Or no, the T34. I think that's what that is. I think that tank's really neat for some reason. So anyway, that's it. This concludes the video. Just an amazing place to go. I wish we had even one store in the U.S. like this. That would really make my day. But it was an honor and a pleasure to finally make it there, and Lord willing, someday I'll go again. All right, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you all next time.